Hey everybody, I am doing a big water change here on my Waterfall tank, mainly because I've been spraying soapy water trying to get on top of the aphids again. I was in here looking around and I found a few spots that have, a couple of aphids here, a couple of aphids there. It's not what I would call an infestation, but the way aphids breed and multiply, if you don't get on top of it when you see one, it will not be long at all before you have a lot of them again. So the batch of spray that I mixed up this time, I put a little more soap in it than I normally do, and I was actually able to see sort of sudsy appearance when I sprayed it. You can tell, I don't know if you can see that little specks right here on this. Those are aphids. So I got in here, I sprayed, it was enough that I could actually see some suds appearing as I sprayed. So that's the soapiest I've ever made the water. And I'll grant you, it was sort of out of frustration, sort of a take that aphids, I'm going to get you this time. And as I was spraying it, I realized I better probably get on top of a water change as well. If I'm putting that much potential soap in the water, I could see the overspray and the mist settling on the surface. So definitely did not want that to accumulate. And then when I started pulling it apart, I started looking at it, or I started, spraying it, and I decided once and for good I'm going to get rid of a lot of the stuff that was right there that was being attacked by the aphids. It looked absolutely awful. I had a bunch of creeping jenny in there that was all shriveled up and not growing properly. The bugleweed I had up there looked awful. So as I started to pull that out, it all kind of came loose. You can see I've got a little planter in there, and that's got my dead nettles in it. And then I've got a few other little odds and ends, but that's a fairly deep basin of water up there. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got to put something back here across the front, because the idea was not to have the main water flowing down the front like that. The idea is the water is supposed to go this way, flow down into here, and then flow down this channel and into there. And some of it is, but a lot of it is not. And that's mainly because I got so much crud up here now. It's just, it's started to collect and it's backing up, and now my initial basin where the water flows in is overflowing. So I'll get something on that. It's springtime now. I got a ton of stuff out in the yard. I can go get more creeping jenny. I don't know. There's other stuff. I've got options of something I can get to cover that up now. I also probably am going to get up here soon and open that up so it flows a little more freely. And on a final note, I also wanted to point out, if you remember when I was building this and making it, I started having issues because one of the sealants I used was not meant to be submerged. It was like backsplash kind of sealant. It could get wet, but it could not be submerged. And what I found was, wherever it got wet and stayed wet, it turned white. And as much as I thought I coated it with my rubber sealant, you can see all of this white. That is that sealant. If I poke that with my finger, that'll sort of mush right through. It's like soft Elmer's glue almost. And if that happens, that's a leak. And so that could be where I've had that periodic leak in the back. I've still got my tray and everything sitting back there just in case it leaks anymore. But I haven't had to deal with that leak for a while. I just figured, gunk developed in it, and the hole sort of self-sealed by, algae growing in it or whatever, dirt collecting in it. It was probably just a tiny little pinhole somewhere. And now I'm thinking it could have been a little area like that. So when I pulled all this stuff out, you can see how much roots were involved in a lot of it. Some of that was seriously rooted in there. And when I pulled it out, who knows, maybe some of it was sort of rooted into the rubber a little bit, and maybe I exposed some of those areas. And so now we're going to have to keep an eye out to make sure we don't have any more leaks. But I'm not too concerned about it. I don't think I'm going to have any more. And I think this summer, although don't hold me to this, I would like to probably try to redo this a little more better. When I built this, it was kind of a experimental, having fun, seeing if I could do something with it. And this is what I got, and I'm really happy with it. But it's almost like a good proof of concept, like a working prototype. I really would do this a lot differently if I had my druthers. And if I'm financially capable this summer, I would like to actually build a framework and cover it with fiberglass and do it properly and have it all, you know, channeled down into the tank. If you caught my last video on this tank, it's where I discovered that I was getting not a leak, but an overdrip. And you can see how, you know, unintentionally overhanging that is. And a lot of the water was sort of hanging and sticking to the bottom and dripping outside the tank. And, you know, so if I built that out of fiberglass, I literally could build it down into the tank and sort of almost position it and fit it on the tank. And then I wouldn't have to worry about it. It would all be funneled right down into the tank. No overspills or leaks or anything. So we'll see. I just wanted to get that update. Now I'm going to start getting ready to get back and start reversing the flow of the water and filling the tank back up. I also will have to probably do something about this. I pulled away all the stuff that was hanging there. It was, you know, basically hanging down into the water, and it allowed the water to flow with it, and it really reduced the amount of splashing I was getting. So with it being that far, that, you know, it's falling, you know, 10 or 12 inches there, I'm getting a lot of splashing now. But even with the tank full, I get a lot of overspray. You can see how wet all the leaves are down here. And then, of course, now that I've done this, I'm getting all that splashing from down here. And I don't know if it's coming out on camera, but I can actually see drops splashing all the way out into the room from back there. So this is kind of a messy, wet type thing. I got a fan blowing in this room all the time. I've got a dehumidifier running in the room adjacent to this all the time. And that's how we keep the basement from being, you know, tropical rainforest humid from all this evaporating water coming off of this. So there you go, just a little update on what's going on here in the waterfall tank. As I said, I got to get going because I want to reverse the flow of water. I told you I was going to do a big water change, and indeed I did. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss anything I got coming up. And then don't forget, of course, this is my waterfall tank. So thanks again, and I will see you real soon in the next one.